Just to go back a little bit now to November 2019, where you contested the by-election in Fingal. Obviously, at the time, I think it was kind of common knowledge that possibly you were going to be taking over from Brendan Ryan come the next general election. Possibly the by-election was obviously looking to gain another seat, but was also a chance to get you out to see to see constituents from all over Fingal and try and get your face out there. But just walk me through a little bit about how did the whole decision making around you taking over from Brendan come? Was it more he wanted to step back from political life, or was it more Labour put forward yourself and asked Brendan if he'd be okay with it?
No, it was actually neither of those things, actually. And thanks for the question. It's a good question, and I'm glad to have a chance to answer it, because Brendan's been magnificent through this. And if people knew how Brendan acted over the last number of years, but particularly the last year, it's a template for how many TDs across all parties should be acting or can act in terms of encouraging younger people not only to run for the council, but also when to make that decision if they feel that, you know, it's a time in their life where they need to move on, but also we have to keep a seat and then also back someone new. You know, there was a huge amount of responsibility on Brendan. Brendan kept his seat in 2016. He was the only non-Labour minister to actually hold the seat. So that was based on Brendan's work. And I worked in the office with him and Lisa, and then we had the councillors and our organisation here. That seat was kept through dogged hard work. So the expectation would be that if Brendan ran again, and he was a selected candidate, because we expected an election within a year of 2016, that Brendan would run again. Of course, we didn't have an election in 2017 or 2018. So the locals came along in 2019, and we had a really good locals up here. Again, we nearly got everyone over the line, but we had a good locals. Claire Daly got elected that day, so we knew there was a by-election on the horizon, or we believed there might be a by-election on the horizon. Again, we didn't know there'd be a general election first. So we cooled our heels over the summer, and as an organisation, all this was done as an organisation, and Brendan led. And within the councillor group, it became clear that I was the preferred candidate. And that was done by consensus, and you know, I was happy to put myself forward after a long summer of thinking about it. And it's a lot to think about, because again, I wasn't predetermined or to necessarily go to be a TD. With the by-election presenting itself, I put forward as a candidate, and then, but we were very clear Brendan was still the selected candidate for the general election. But if the by-election went well, we'd have a decision to make. Now, we fought ourselves into contention in the by-election. It was clear early on that Joe O'Brien was going to win the by-election. There was no doubt about it. But we fought a really good campaign. And usually if a Green does really well in the by-election, or something, that Labour will go down because we share a number of votes. But our vote held, I think, got 15% in that by-election, which was really good for a by-election, and we were really happy with it. And it was a very positive campaign, and we got great reaction at the doors, and you know, we really came off the campaign buzzing after it. And look, if anything, we feel we're in good health in Dublin Fingal. You know, we felt good. But we had a decision to make then, and Brendan ultimately had a decision to make. And he said to me, look, I'm going to think about this, to weigh everything up. But at the end of the day, I didn't win the by-election, you know. So, and at that stage, it became clear an election was coming down the tracks pretty quickly after Christmas. We all expected one in early 2020. But true to his word, he came back the first week of January, and he said, look, I've thought about it, I've spoken, and we think you should run, we think you can hold the seat. And that was it. And I was selected, and then he went hammer and tongs for me. Like, no one worked harder. He directed my campaign. He gave me great advice. He was up morning, noon and night. Didn't hold anything back. Rang everyone, knocked on every door, pulled in every favour of people he'd worked for over the years for support. And we, again, in an election which Sinn Féin, you know, ran away with it, and you know, the Greens got the green wave, and everyone had a wave except for us. We managed to hold the seat, and so it didn't feel like a victory. Like, there was so much pressure to hold the seat. I wasn't like, I may have been a new candidate, but this was something we had that we had to hold. It wasn't going to be anything extra. So, we pulled it out of the bag through a number of factors, not least the way Brendan approached that whole period from the locals right up to that general election. It was fantastic, and everyone was on the same page. Everyone was working together, and that's something that doesn't always happen within a party. And I think we can be proud of ourselves internally as an organisation, and Brendan particularly in terms of how those few months went.
Mm-hmm.